Soto and Chad here. Soto, in the last few months, we've done a few surprisingly wrestling videos. I mean, we, we,
Yes.
we weren't planning on being, I mean, we're not a wrestling podcast, but some of them did well, and we had fun talking about wrestling. We grew up as wrestling fans, so
Yeah.
I had the idea of I wanted us to review the very first WrestleMania. I don't know how much more we're going to review afterwards, but I just thought it would be funny to look back at WrestleMania 1. Because we talked about being kids, and we would go to our local video stores and we would rent all these old school tapes and watch them again and again.
Yes.
And it was fun.
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster, I can't even think of the local stores. We every weekend using these tapes from WrestleMania, SummerSlams. But yeah, so today I just kind of want to look back at WrestleMania 1 and how not so great it is now, but maybe how great it was when we were kids looking at it. So, and I watched it. I think you watched it too on Peacock. So
Yeah.
I don't know if there's an edit. This is an edited version because there's some things. For me it seemed quick because overall I think it was like 2 hours and 15 minutes, not including ads obviously. But I'm like,
It
all
was a
right,
quick
this is great.
watch.
It was. It's not like
Yeah.
WrestleMania nowadays, which are 7 hours, 6 7 hours and shit like that,
Are
and
they?
all. Yeah, they actually had to change. WrestleMania changed after COVID. They did it like on 2 nights. So now, yeah, it's now a
Oh
whole
my
weekend. It's a new
God.
whole weekend event. So they're not as long, but now they do 2 nights to get more matches, and that way they don't bore the crowd and also make more money, obviously.
Oh, is it
So
because it's like look, and we'll get into this, but isn't this so like is there still like a Raw versus SmackDown bullshit?
not
That's
really,
kind of
not
like where
really.
I left off of wrestling, but did they do
No,
away with that shit?
there's no real brand wars or anything. I mean, there is
There
still
can't
like a
be.
there's a Raw. They still have a Raw cast. They still have a SmackDown cast. They
Ugh, so
try not to
dumb.
cross over. And it's a special promotion. I know starting next year
So
or
dumb.
2025, they're going to Netflix. And that's going to be really interesting because they don't have to be censored for anybody. So it's going to be interesting to see how PG
Oh,
they
uncensored
stay.
wrestling.
Possibly. We don't know. We don't know
I would
yet.
love that shit. That's what I loved
I
about ECW. I felt like it grew with me. You know what I mean? Like I want to hear swear words as a fan, as an adult fan. I'm very much an adult fan. I don't mind hearing swear words, but I can understand that in particular when WrestleMania 1 was around, that wasn't exactly the vibe.
no, no. And we'll get into the Netflix thing, but I think they're going to have different programs. We'll see. We don't know. I think they're going to test the waters. They're not going to go all in. But anyhow, WrestleMania
Yeah.
1985. We were just
Ooh,
young. We didn't know.
no.
I know we got into it afterwards. So yeah, I had to laugh. First of all, I knew this was an old school look. I mean, obviously, those who know the story, this was Vince McMahon just testing the waters. He's like, trying to see. I think WCW already did something like this. I think their Stargate technically came out before
Yes.
WrestleMania. So
Yes.
Vince McMahon's like,
Excellent
well,
point.
so there's like, let me see, and I think they had a different name for it, like the colossal tossle. I'm
I'm
stuttering, but
glad that they
they
changed
changed it. But anyhow,
it.
but obviously, the big
Wow.
thing at this time was the Rock and Wrestling Connection. What happened was WWF and WWF, WWE, whatever. They aired some free stuff on MTV, and they had a connection with
Oh,
them. So that's
yep.
why in this you see, Cyndi Lauper. That's why like Lou Albano was in her video. So it was a way to get the younger viewers, the newer crowd, and it worked. This was a success for WWF. Obviously, it went on because they just did WrestleMania 40 earlier this year. And, next year is 41, so they're still going strong. Obviously, wrestling's still going strong. And yes, we've fallen out of love with it. Every now and then I do kind of catch up, but nothing's going to draw me back to this kind of era and stuff like that. But anyhow, WrestleMania 1, Soto. What were your initial thoughts before we kind of look at the matches and some of the funnier moments on this? But the look, the feel. What did you feel rewatching WrestleMania 1 now compared to when you were just a little kid excited?
I mean, I've watched wrestling for so many fucking years. I've seen all the tropes and everything like that. So when I rewatched this, I had a lot of nostalgia. The lighting kind of threw me off a little bit, but I understand why. It was probably trying to recreate more of a boxing kind of a match feel at Madison Square Garden because it's not like it wasn't well attended. I think there was like around 19,000 people,
Correct. Though
which is
I
not
do have
bad.
my notes. If you listen to the announcers, they were like 23,000, 25,000, but I think the official attendance was 19,000 some odd. So,
Which is fine for Madison Square Garden. It's just not a
oh,
lot,
it's
you know.
part,
So I
yeah.
didn't know if they were trying to like darken the arena so you couldn't see the empty seats or not, you know. But it gave it more of a theatrical kind of a vibe. You know, to me, my first initial reaction is that it holds up fine to me as far as what wrestling is. It does the job. I know we'll get into the details in a little bit, but I wasn't as off put by how it was going to be, like how old it came across, because you still see some of these same fucking tropes, even I'm assuming even now. Where like every match starts off with like a fucking collar and elbow tie up and all that shit. So, again, positive, nostalgic, loved it, loved seeing kind of like the older school stuff, and that was my first reaction to rewatching this.
No, and I agree. And I think the match quality in this was more for show. And there was some good matches at the time, but you could definitely tell this was more of a showman match. So when people talk about like their favorite WrestleMania or wrestling matches, I'm going to be honest, none should be from WrestleMania 1. None of these are overly great. None of these are memorable. Well, some of them are for the wrong reason, but as we will get into, some of them definitely for show. Before we get into the matches, there was a couple things I noticed which I laugh about. Yeah, the darkness, obviously. I didn't realize how close some of the audience was to the ring. Like,
Yeah.
ringside was literally ringside. I mean, they don't,
Oh yeah.
nowadays people are diving off the ropes and this and that, going out to the floor. That rarely happened back then. So when it did, you're basically in people's laps. I'm like, oh my god, people were literally close to I'm like, that had to be
Hmm.
awesome. The other thing I noticed was the ropes. Now, I think as
Yeah.
time goes on, things got safer, but man, there isn't a lot of high flyers. You're like, again, there were some people who went to top ropes. They were very careful, but you just see how shaky they back then it was. I'm like, God damn, yeah, you're not doing high flying Rey Mysterio Jr. shit off of this. You're just kind of jumping, doing an axe handle, maybe an elbow drop, and that was about it. But I did laugh. So yeah, to start off WrestleMania, Mean Gene sung the Star Spangled Banner, which I don't know if
Yeah.
like someone bailed. I think I heard a story they were
That's what I
supposed to
thought
get someone,
too.
and so he did. But and I only bring this up because he went there and he had like a notes. I'm like, was he looking at the words while he was singing? Because I know I'm not the greatest singer, but I know every word to the Star Spangled Banner. I had to laugh because he kept looking at it. I'm like, oh my god. And
Yeah.
he was an okay singer. I'm not going to say he was great, but he wasn't bad.
For a
But yeah,
last minute thing is
I
fine. I mean, he
think
probably got told right before. He's like, dude, you're gonna have to do the Star Spangled Banner. And he was like, all right, I'm a professional. Like, I'll get the crowd involved and we'll do a sing along.
Mean Gene was definitely always a great professional.
Oh, he's
And
fantastic. Oh my God, missed Mean Gene, huge.
yeah. And the other thing I laughed at is that Lord Alfred Hayes. Like he's doing like these little,
Yes.
commentary, and people are in the wrestlers are literally walking past him, as he's doing it. Like because obviously I don't know if they need direction, so they're bumping into him. It just seemed like weird placement. I obviously this is like I call it the test WrestleMania. Vince McMahon was figuring shit out, but
Oh
again,
yeah,
it
of
was fun.
course.
I laughed, because he's just there, blah blah blah, and then like Roddy Piper passes him, but.
Well, I think the thing that's interesting too about this is watching just how much entrances took over wrestling as the years went on, because you do have some entrance music to WrestleMania, but it's not like it is now with like pyrotechnics and fireworks and a humongous like you just mentioned they're just running over Lord Alfred Hayes. But like a humongous kind of like walk up to the ring and shit like that, like really super wide, big video backgrounds that they have now. It's almost become much more of a spectacle now. Just the beginning of the match. I mean, even somebody like Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? You hear his glass breaking and everybody just has a huge pop. That's became such a huge thing of wrestling that in WrestleMania 1, yeah, there was pageantry and there was things like that, but it was more about the product inside the ring. I know you said it was more kind of like showcasing matches,
Well,
but
I mean,
it was much more about wrestling.
let me rephrase that. It's more about the ring psychology. It's something that
Hmm.
I know people will say Hogan's a bad wrestler, but he knew how to work the crowd, and that's what I meant. Like the
Oh
psychology in
yeah.
the way. But it's funny you mentioned the music because I didn't go back to check this, and I don't know if this is a copyright thing. It was the fifth match of the night, and it was Greg Valentine versus Junkyard Dog, which we'll get to. But then I noticed, I'm like, has there been entrance music? Because I remember, I'm like, I knew Hogan had one, I knew some wrestlers
Of
had one,
course.
and then this is
Yeah.
the, I'm like, did they even have it? And then Junkyard Dog was the first that I think of the night to come out to some kind of music. And I was reading up, and they said, yes, not everyone had music. They saved it for more of their superstars. So maybe
Yeah.
some of the other ones earlier in the night did, maybe had to get cut. I don't know. But it was the fifth match, and I'm like, wait, has anyone even had music coming to the ring yet? So I had to laugh at that. But
Like that concept was like not there that back then. You know what I'm saying? Just it's funny that they had an MTV connection, but they didn't use any like MTV shit. Like it's just fucking hilarious.
well, again, I don't know what might again had to get cut out for video because if they license and who knows, But that I just laughed at that. But first match of the night, Tito Santana versus Executioner. This was a
Yeah.
very simple match. Executioner was played by later Playboy Buddy Rose. That's who was under the mask. Not much. Tito Santana, they had him win, hyped up the crowd because he's a beloved babyface. The only thing I laughed at this match was like the mask of the Executioner. It sounded like this
Oh
guy
yeah,
should have been
dude.
more deadly, but it was just like this red ski mask. And I'm like, I know. But yeah, I
Well,
felt
he was just
that.
there to job for Tito Santana. Like, he was just there to make Tito Santana look better, which I don't know how old Tito Santana is. You're probably going to be like, oh, he was like 24 years old. But like in the 80s, when you were 24, apparently you look like you're almost 40.
So let me do the
So,
math. According to what I just looked up, 32. He was 32 at WrestleMania 1.
okay, that makes a lot more sense because I was like, is he younger? Because they kept saying the youngster or some shit like that. Mean Gene Okerlund, not Mean Gene, Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of like, is he younger than I think? Because I remember Tito Santana, when I was watching wrestling in the 90s, and he was a lot older, and he was kind of like past his prime. So it was interesting watching him just kind of get a push from this masked man named the Executioner, who I'm sure like Vince McMahon just was like, here, put on this mask and go out there and just make Tito Santana look good with the figure four lead lock, which I was surprised. I know Greg the Hammer Valentine later mentions that that's a signature move, but I always associate that with Ric Flair. So
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Valentine because I know they brought it up. Santana and Valentine were feuding before WrestleMania 1
hmm
for the belt, and later, right after this, Santana beat him for the belt. So it's funny that they didn't put that match here. Like that would have been the bigger match. But again, I
oh
think Vince
yeah,
McMahon was kind of figuring out what matches to put on here. So yeah, this is kind of throwing you, like you said, well, right, we're going to put this guy in a mask, blah blah blah, and yeah, no, I mean it was okay. There was nothing wrong. Typical match. Santana's always been a good work hand. That's why he was one of the first two
hmm
entrants in the Royal Rumble. Him and Bret Hart were able to control the match before it really broke down later on. But I need to talk about the second match though, and I know you do too. Um, King Kong
Special
Bundy
Delivery
versus
Jones.
Special Delivery Jones, SD Jones.
Poor Special
The
Delivery Man.
the infamous 9-second match.
Oh, it was not 9
Technically,
seconds.
well,
Yeah.
no, it is. It says online 24 seconds, but yes, it got billed as 9 seconds, which was a record at WrestleMania for however many years until WrestleMania
hmm
32, I think. But anyhow, imagine if you're SD Jones. I mean,
hmm
like this is your big payday. Like, would you? I mean, wouldn't you want to showcase yourself a little bit, or I mean, just take the payday? I guess. I mean, it's an
It's just like
easy
the payday,
payday.
man. It's not fucking real. You know what I mean? It's like Vince McMahon's like, hey, listen, you know what? You're gonna get paid, but you need to make King Kong Bundy look good because I'm pretty sure WrestleMania 2, the main event, is Hulk
Correct.
Hogan versus King Kong Bundy.
Bundy was being groomed a
Um,
bit for Hogan, so yes,
yeah, so you have to set up these story arcs, like right, like promoting. You and I
correct.
talked about this of making long term promoting and shit like that. But that's the whole thing of wrestling is like you got to set up these matches a little bit for people to give a shit. And so Special Delivery Jones, he came in, he worked for 24 seconds that night. He wasn't actually hurt, even though he looked like he was absolutely pancaked by that fucking massive man. Uh, he just that's like the easiest paycheck in the world, and then he
So,
just gets to relax there. He probably drank that night.
well, here's the funny thing. First, knowing that this is a squash match, they're like 20-minute time limit. I'm like, huh. I think this was supposed to be quicker, and I think what happened because it was like Bundy squashed him in the corner and did a splash.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
SD Jones got the wind knocked out of him because I think he couldn't get to the next point.
Oh,
So if you look, because he is
good
stumbling, I'm
point.
like, I think King Kong Bundy honestly hurt him a little bit because I think they planned it like we can do this in 9 seconds. But then he was like, oh fuck, man, and like he couldn't get down, and finally, so I if you watch this match knowing that
Yeah.
it's the whole joke in 9 seconds, I'm like, I think it was supposed to be that way, and I just think SD Jones could not get to that point. Like he was like, I just got hit in the corner. He's like, hold on, and he just couldn't. He got through it, but not at the 9 seconds. So they're like, fuck it, we're gonna stick with the 9 second shit, which even at 24 seconds. So no, I love that match. Yeah, King Kong. After this, Bundy was teaming with Big John Studd to face Andre and Hogan because Bundy was gonna face Hogan. That was the big thing. So this squash match had its point. Like you said, it was
What
good.
happened to Special Delivery Jones? Do
I
you
don't know.
know? Like, do we know?
I did not look up what happened to him after this. I don't even remember him because I know, when I like you, I got into wrestling around 3 and 4, around that area,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I don't remember SD Jones then. So I just think he was big around this time. I say big. I don't know, popular around this time, and then just kind of they went more. I hit say the characters were really coming along the next few WrestleManias, and he just didn't have that character. So I don't know but that was
Yeah.
my guess. He just disappeared because there were more popular gimmicks.
Like, what was he delivering? Like, what special delivery did he have? Like, that's all I kept thinking about, Because Junkyard Dog, he seemed much more popular, during
Correct.
this time frame. You know what I mean? Special Delivery Jones is just one of the all-time jobbing situations in WrestleMania. I think they said, what, 1 million people watched this or some shit?
Yeah, I think it was
Um,
officially 1.2 million buys, something like that. So
that's
that's why I did right.
crazy.
I know for that time, and it was only
Well, there's nothing
well,
else.
no, and people, but still, I mean, even if they did at that time, even if it was like $10 each or something, I don't know the official price. I'm like, making 10 million off of
I
this
mean, it
shit
was a
for one
huge
night of wrestling.
pop culture wise, it was huge.
Yeah.
So I remember reading Mad Magazine, which I don't know if you remember that, but
Oh, I love the Mad Magazine.
and Mad Magazine, like some of the earliest issues were like, riffing on some of these wrestling characters that we have, like King Kong Bundy and, which we'll talk about later, Rowdy Piper as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
The next match, again, kind of like the first match, a simple match. Ricky Steamboat versus this guy, Matt Bourne, who eventually became Doink the Clown, by the way. I did not know if you know this. Matt Bourne
Wow.
is Doink the Clown. So he was
Feel
with
like
it for a
I
while.
knew that, but
Yeah.
wow.
Ricky Steamboat's always been a great babyface, smooth, and this is the first one where I'm like, all right, was a decent match because Matt Bourne, again, I didn't know much about him. I knew beforehand, obviously knew him more as Doink the Clown, but I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, a decent match, but again, nothing great. But I always loved Steamboat. He was just such a great
Ricky
babyface.
Steamboat is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and I don't know if this match really showcases the things that Ricky Steamboat like eventually would end up doing. I remember him much more in WCW for whatever reason. In his matches with Ric Flair and shit like that. But I love Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I don't
Yeah.
know when he got that moniker, but
Kind of probably
uh,
after this is when they started all getting their nicknames, and yeah, like you said with Ric Flair, but also Savage at WrestleMania 3, still one of the best matches ever. So he
oh
definitely got
hell yeah,
better,
dude.
but I think he needed a fellow worker to do it. But again, the first WrestleMania, I mean, all these matches were short. All these matches, but two were under 10 minutes, so they were all like 5 6, which is great, for me
I
watching it
appreciate
because
that.
I didn't want to get long and bored. But which it's funny because one of the because obviously the main event, which we'll get to, is over 10 minutes. This next match, Soto, was the second longest match of the night. Brutus Beefcake versus David Sammartino,
Yeah,
before he became the barber. I mean,
it
again,
dragged.
it did. They ended. I think this is mainly to get the crowd hyped to see Bruno Sammartino. But
Hmm.
yeah, David Sammartino never got over. It was just bad shadow. But yeah, this ended up just a double DQ. Everyone was fighting. So, but I had to laugh because I obviously I did not grow up watching Bruno, but I know his legacy. And then I see David come out, and I'm like, this is the most generic looking wrestler there is. You're the son
Dude,
of like greatest
yeah.
wrestler. He had like red trunks. There's nothing. Even Brutus Beefcake. I know he's not the best wrestler, but even before he became the barber, you look at that. He had that gimmick. He became the dream team with like Greg Valentine
Yes.
afterwards. But he had like that model look and that he was definitely a heel. And you could definitely see he had the gimmick. David Sammartino, yeah, there's just nothing outside of just being a
No, dude. I
Sammartino. So
mean,
I'm like,
the kids talk about aura these days, right? And David Sammartino had none. It's same thing with The Rock when he first came out. Rock was generic babyface. I hated
yeah,
when he debuted
everyone
and
did.
whatever fuck he debuted, like Wrestling Saturday or whatever the fuck. I was like, this guy is boring and his hair sucks. But then he created a character that was so magnetic and he was heel because that's what you're really watching, right? Like, there's a lot of these wrestlers and whatever, but because I'm watching WCW too, but you got to have a vibe and a presence and an aura, and you got to be able to spit that game. Like Dusty Rhodes does not look like an athlete at
Nope.
all. Dusty
Nope.
Rhodes is like just looks like shit. But Dusty Rhodes, man, had some of the best promos, some of the best cuts I've ever heard. He talked his shit, and so that was what was enticing. For me as a little kid, I'm watching these characters, and David Sammartino, like his only character was that he had muscles, and his dad was Bruno Sammartino. And honestly, I'm gonna root for Brutus the Barber Beefcake like every time. Although he wasn't the
Yeah.
barber yet, but you know what I
No.
mean.
Yeah, and I think the fact that Bruno got the biggest pop just being there should tell you. Like, I think that was the biggest pop of the night too. But yeah, that
Yeah,
match it
exactly.
dragged, and it was 12 minutes, I think, like 11, 12. But that I
Oh
laughed.
God,
I'm
it felt
like,
like 30.
this is the second longest match of the night outside of the main event. I'm like, and it's a double DQ. I'm like, come on, guys. I'm like, at least pick a winner. The next match,
So bad.
Greg the Hammer Valentine versus, like you mentioned earlier, Junkyard Dog,
Yeah.
Intercontinental Belt. Typical heel. But the one thing I noticed about this match compared to the other ones, there was a little bit more what I like the ring psychology. You had two veterans really going at it who knew what they were
Hmm.
doing. Yeah, again, the quality might not have been great, but they were telling the story. Valentine won, then
Exactly.
got reversed. Junkyard won, but he didn't win the belt. But this was like, all right, this is a decent match for what it is. But because these were two characters that I loved. I'm like, I could see. I know not a lot of people are fans of Greg the Hammer, but he knew his shit. He knew how to wrestle.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah, and he went on to wrestle for a long time. He was like, "Oh, I'm the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time." I don't know. Personally, I would say Mr. Perfect was, but Mr. Perfect had a huge run, and we'll get into that at some other point. But I loved Greg the Hammer Valentine, and by the time I started watching wrestling, he wasn't as over as he was here. So he was a lot bigger in the mid '80s than he was like in the '90s and shit.
yeah,
So, but yeah, same thing with Junkyard Dog too. I liked him, and again, as the '80s ended, there wasn't really a place for Junkyard Dog.
no. But I have to laugh. I got even as big and muscular as Junkyard Dog is, that fucking crawling headbutt. Even as a kid, I'm like, does that really hurt anyone? Because how fast can you crawl and give a devastating headbutt? Like I know it looks I know it's like a wrestling move, but I'm like, and then I look at it logically, I'm like, all right, that
Uh,
doesn't look like it hurt anyone. I was
no.
laughing at that, but overall, like I said, it was probably the first real enjoyable match. Um,
Yeah, I
the
agree.
the next match, still this trope, I think still happens today, and I think it was bigger with the Vince McMahon era. I know he left, but the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov
Oh
versus the
my
UX
God.
Express, Barry
Oh my
Windham and
God.
Mike Rotundo, the basic
Yep.
USA versus foreigners. It's been
Cheap
done.
heat.
Oh my
Just
God,
cheap.
it's cheap, but the Iron Sheik was so fucking good at it, so great at just being that, Russia number one, Iran number one. Like the shit he said, like you
Yeah.
hated it. He was one of the few where you literally hated him. He can
Oh
make it,
yeah,
and
Iron
I
Sheik was
love.
great.
All these guys are great, but yeah. So I think Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov, I think they retained the belts, didn't they? Oh no, or did they? They
No, they
won.
won the
They won.
belts
That's right.
from
U.S. Express.
the
U.S.
yeah,
Express.
yeah, the U.S. Express. So boring, like compared to Nikolai Volkov and fucking Iron Sheik. Mike Rotunda, I think, would go on to become IRS from what I
Correct.
remember.
And Barry
You know.
Windham went on with the Four Horsemen afterwards too. So I mean, their careers got better. They were both. It's weird to see them. They were so young here. I mean, I say so young, but younger than when I became fans of them and stuff like that. But yeah, I had to
Team
laugh. I'm like,
USA.
Team USA. I mean, they were called the U.S. Express, but just the foreigners. And Nikolai Volkov just singing the Russian. And I still remember that every time. Got the crowd to boo, and I'm like, again, this is. I know it's been done in different versions, but this is when it was done the best. And I just think because in the '80s, obviously, the U.S. against Russia was a big thing, and it was just. I hate to say hilarious, but yeah, whenever he would just sing that anthem, like you just
Well, it
hated
came
these
again
guys.
in the mid '90s too, with Iron Sheik with Sergeant Slaughter and shit during like
Yeah,
what the fuck, the war in the Gulf and shit.
yeah,
Like Vince
'91,
McMahon was
yeah,
capitalizing on that shit,
yeah.
and he
But
was
a
trying to be
lot of
like.
people clap back at that. There is a little, I don't
Well,
know, but
yeah. It's because it was a cheap way to get heat for a villain, like to just be like, "Oh, this villain is hates the United States," and people are like, "Boo! USA, USA, USA!" Like that chant, and Sergeant Slaughter. This is so. It's just not creative, and it's the easiest way to make people boo somebody. Somebody be like, "Oh, fuck the United States, man."
The next match, Andre the Giant versus Big John Studd, the career versus
Yeah,
$15,000. I mean, this is
yeah.
there wasn't much to this. I mean, unfortunately,
No.
Andre's body was giving out. It was just a way, just to get him on the card. He was still a spectacle, but yeah, you could just tell. I
Yes.
mean, when his big move in matches were the bear hugs, this was just a way to protect him because he could not move as he used to. But it was still just great seeing him. I'm like, God, man, you could just tell the fans are behind Andre.
I
Um,
mean, it was WrestleMania 3 that he got body slammed, right?
yeah,
By
I
Hulk
think
Hogan.
they knew he had probably one decent match left, or they wanted to get that over with before Andre, left wrestling. So they had to book that quickly because his back was really giving out then.
Dude,
Because in WrestleMania 2, he was in a battle
crazy.
royale, which again they can protect him because it's not like he has to do much in a battle royale.
Yeah, you can
Um,
get kind of like you can hide behind a lot of people, but
and he won, so
damn
it's not
near
like
won.
anyone's throwing it. But yeah, so he was still around a few more years, but you could just tell his body was deteriorating, which is sad. But again, this is definitely the gimmick, because I think this is the first real gimmick match of the night. But again, another just a showman match. People are like, "Oh my
Hmm.
God, is he going to retire?" Yes, we know Andre wasn't going to retire, but still, they put a good storyline behind it. Um, then they had the women's championship match. This is when the
Yes.
MTV Cindy Lauper, Wendy Richter versus Lalani
Hmm.
Kai. I don't know, not much. I forgot who Lalani Kai was until I watched this. I'm like, I still don't know who she is. I don't remember seeing her or anything. I know Wendy Richter a little bit better, probably because she won and she had Cindy Lauper. But yeah, no, I mean, this is just a match.
Fabulous Moolah.
Oh yeah, she was there too. And oh, I had to
Hmm.
laugh because I don't know if it was mistalk, but they called it the ladies championship at a couple times. Like, this for the ladies. I'm like, isn't it women's? And then they went back to women's. So I think it was a mispronunciation. They just like,
The
we don't care. No,
ladies.
no one cares about this championship at this time. But they obviously made a big deal about it. But yeah, I mean, the match was just a way to get Cyndi Lauper out there screaming, and Wendy Richter
It
was
was
an
a
okay
championship
wrestler. Yeah.
match. Yeah, it was up there, like and it's is what it is. I'm glad that I know women's wrestling is even bigger now than it ever used to be from the things I've seen
Yes.
in WWE. So,
Yes, they
um,
definitely changed.
yeah,
But then we get to the main event, Soto, the most overbooked main event in a
a tag
while.
team
The
main event.
tag team won. Hogan and Mr. T versus Roddy Piper and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. Now, Soto, before we get into the
The
match,
steroids.
there was when they first announced Billy Martin and Liberace.
Yeah.
So when they started
Hmm.
this, the whole let's get all the famous people out here for this one match. To when the first punch was thrown, and I punch slap because officially it was, I know Hogan and Orndorff started it, but the first physical contact did not happen until Piper and Mr. T. That's when they
Hmm.
slapped and. So from the point when they brought up Billy Martin first to this was longer than this match itself, than anything in the night. Because it took
Oh,
about 12
yeah.
minutes. Like everything, they're like, we got Liberace, we got, this, and then they get to the match. And it was all, I mean, there is barely any wrestling in this match. I mean, I forgot, I knew
No.
this wasn't like a great wrestling match, but I'm like, there is barely anything at all in this
Well,
match.
yeah, two things, right? Hulk Hogan, not a good wrestler. I'm sorry, that is what the truth. He's an incredible showman. I love it. I've watched a ton of his matches, but not at all like on the level of like a Bret Hart or
Oh, God,
anything
no.
like that. As far as like because Bret Hart's matches, and we'll get to those at some point, hopefully in the future. But that's to me is like the definition of like wrestling. But Hulk Hogan's presence, everything was great. So you have Hulk Hogan who can't really wrestle, but he's Hulk Hogan, and then you have Mr. T who can't wrestle at all.
Correct.
Although he looks like in great shape, by the
Oh, he's
way.
in great shape.
You
He
guys
was.
said he was on tuna and water diet, which is crazy to think
Well,
about. But he looked like in
that's
great
just
shape.
Jesse being so yes, he was, definitely in great shape.
And then Roddy Piper really having to carry Roddy Piper and fucking Paul Orndorff really kind of carried the quote unquote wrestling that was in this match. If there was any to be done, Paul Orndorff, his body just looks like it's built by steroids.
I think Snuka went
Oh
up to
my
the
god.
top rope and just jumped down because he was going to hit someone. And he's like, "Oh, there's no one to hit," and then he just kind of gets down.
He
I
did. He
laugh,
did.
but that's the thing. This is the most chaotic match where nothing happened until the end. Because I think it was just a lot of tussling, a lot of pushing, which the fans got behind. And I laugh
Hmm.
because you're right. Hogan can't wrestle, but being obviously for the kids and America and all that stuff. Everyone was just behind him in this match, and
Hmm.
then it just ended. I mean, I forgot what the finish
Yeah.
was. I mean, it was basically Orton
Oh,
hit
it's
him with the
Orton.
cast, and then Hogan's
Yeah.
just no late, not even a leg drop. Hogan just tries to roll him up, and that's
Yeah.
about it. And
That's it.
I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, not even the finishing move. But
No, Orndorff got knocked out, and when he woke up, he realized he had lost. According to the storyline. But then it just Mr. T and Hulk Hogan raising up hands, and then just like credits. There's actually credits at the end of this, um, like a sports thing. But yeah, I mean, you're featuring for what it was trying to do as far as featuring its people that it wanted to. It did a perfectly fine job, especially for 1985.
yeah, and you know what? We obviously know in hindsight it was a success, but definitely not
Of
quality.
course.
This was definitely one of those. I mean, quality as far as wrestling goes. You're not here again watching a 5-star classic, like you said. You're not watching Bret Hart. I mean, yes, you had Ricky Steamboat, who's one of the best pure wrestlers in my opinion at that time and in the 80s. Even Tito Santana, yes, he was getting older, but you know what? He was still a very great wrestler. But this is definitely a lot of show, a lot of bells and whistles, and we
Hmm.
loved it as kids. And you know what? Yes, it's 40 years old, and I knew the results, but some of them I still enjoyed. Some of them, like, it's weird that a 12-minute match felt so fucking long. But yeah, I mean, I think I enjoyed this more than I thought I would. Because going back, I knew I'm like, God, this is gonna
Same.
suck. I've heard so many bad things, and I knew I'm like, yeah, but it's times, these guys have got better longevity and better moves, throughout time. But I watched it, I'm like, no, I mean, it was still a fun watch. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be up there in my top things to watch wrestling wise, but
Hmm.
I for the 2 hours it was, I enjoyed it. So
I enjoyed the shit out of it. I mean, I haven't seen anything in wrestling in the past 10 years. So watching this, it's like again, it scratches that itch, and I think it's perfectly fine. And yeah, I had a great time.
so here comes the question: should we talk about WrestleMania 2 in the future? What do you think?
Fuck yeah, let's do all 40. Let's go.
Oh shit! Oh shit! All right, let's before we get ahead of ourselves. But
This
anyhow,
is going
to
to be a
those
5-year project. All
WrestleMania.
40 WrestleManias. I want to see all
But
40 seasons.
well, oh well, technically, 41 or 42 by the time we get all the. Well, it depends on how often we do this. But
Dude, think
anyhow,
about it. Like, I won't even watch 43-hour movies. If you
you're
were
like,
telling
I'm
me you're
not
going to
watching
watch
40
40,
episodes
I'd
of
be like,
shit.
shoot me. Like, I won't even watch some movies that now that are 3 hours. I'm like, no, that's too much. So, but watching all of these, which I'm halfway through WrestleMania 2. So I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna make it through. I don't know if I'll get to 40, but I'm gonna watch a lot
We'll
of
get there.
these.
We'll get there. But anyhow, all right. That's our opinions of WrestleMania ones. I know we kind of went through the matches. I don't know if we're going to go through every match of every WrestleMania.
Oh, that'd
I
be
just
awesome.
want, there's some WrestleManias.
We
There's way
totally
too many
should.
matches. We'll see how it goes. But anyhow, to those who survived to the end, let us know what you thought about the first WrestleMania. What were some of your favorite moments? What is some of your favorite moments from WrestleMania? Period. But until
Hmm.
next time, what you gonna do when the 24-inch pythons of Soto and the 24-inch Violet Chad come wild all over you?
Ooh, yeah.